Mission Impossible has really only got better and more successful as more movies have been released. Ghost Protocol to Rogue Nation to Fallout is a particularly strong run of films, compared to pretty much any film franchise that's reached 5 films or more. And Dead Reckoning is ultimately maybe just not quite as good as Fallout, maybe doesn't quite reach those heights. But to be fair, it's not trying to just repeat earlier movies. It's moving the overall story forward, doing something a little bit different. It's only the first half of the story. We need Final Reckoning to close it out. We start on a Russian submarine, on manoeuvres underneath the polar ice. They're testing a new weapons system, but something goes wrong and the submarine gets destroyed. Then, we're into the standard opening for the franchise. Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, gets delivered a message about his new mission, if he chooses to accept it. But along with the mission, there's some reflection, ponderous musings on the nature of life working for the Impossible Missions Force. It's a great monologue by Henry Czerny, as the new IMF director, returning from much earlier movies. This monologue establishes the tone for Dead Reckoning. There's a lot of ideas in this movie along with the action. It's partly about aging, as both Ethan and Tom Cruise are. Also, there's paranoia, despair, the sense of time passing, people becoming irrelevant, becoming weary in a cold and impersonal world that's personified, if that's the right word, by a faceless, artificial intelligence enemy that can't be fought in the usual way. In some ways, Dead Reckoning is to Mission Impossible what The Wrath of Khan is to Star Trek. An aging franchise with aging actors that's taking a moment to examine itself. And this downbeat atmosphere extends to the supporting cast as well as to Tom himself. Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg both seem a bit low energy. For Ving Rhames, I'm not sure if the guy actually stands up in any of his scenes. Ilsa Faust returns, a little bit just to make the plot happen, and Hayley Atwell, how can I put this politely? Looking at Hayley Atwell in this movie makes me happy to be alive. But overall, there's a lack of explosive physicality, perhaps you would say, in the members of the Impossible Mission team. Dead Reckoning could really do with a Jeremy Renner or a Henry Cavill type figure to add some sense of momentum to it, beyond Tom Cruise himself. Looking at it another way, maybe that's a deliberate choice. Maybe it adds to the sense of time passing. Maybe it makes you feel the loss of all the team members who came before. So I can kind of live with it as a choice. But reviewing this a few months before Final Reckoning comes out, I feel like I did waiting for Dune Part 2 and hoping that would turn out okay. Esai Morales, for example, is a great actor, but the decision to use his character to give Ethan Hunt more backstory was kind of unnecessary. This was screen time that could have been used on Benji or Ilsa or another member of the IMF team. Yeah, it's Tom Cruise's franchise, Ethan Hunt is the main character, but Mission Impossible has always been an ensemble franchise where everyone got a bit of a chance to shine. Dead Reckoning lacks that a little bit for me. Similarly, there's kind of a lack of humour. There is a great moment with Hayley Atwell and Tom Cruise where they find a new car to drive, but it sticks out, it's noticeable because it's one of the few laugh out loud moments in the film. But franchises have to change to survive, so maybe it'll all work out once we see the whole story. In terms of action, Dead Reckoning is everything you could want. Of course, there's the bike jump. It's obviously better because it's Tom Cruise actually doing it. Tiny complaint. Imagine if we saw him landing on the train rather than just appearing through the window. I know that it's relatively simple to ride a bike off a cliff and probably much harder to land on a moving object, but if you raise the bar like this, the audience is gonna want more. The train and the bridge scene later on is also really good. I love how it just keeps going. It's like an extended version of what happened with the helicopter in the final action scenes in Fallout. So I'd say it's not perfect. Dead Reckoning has a lot of tropes of spy films. The AI and the key that the team is chasing feels a lot like a standard MacGuffin that we've seen in the other movies. The running running that Tom Cruise seems to enjoy so much, but the tone, the weariness, the paranoia, the sense of technology that's running out of control feels very modern, seems very relevant, and that makes it even more intriguing that on first release in 2023, Dead Reckoning was a bit of a failure at the box office, crushed under the success of Oppenheimer, Barbie, and to a lesser extent, The Sound of Freedom. While it has issues, I don't think that it really got the box office the success that it deserved. And watching the trailer for Final Reckoning, it's got similar vibes to Dead Reckoning, so I think we can hope that both movies together will add up to something coherent in the same way that the two Dune movies worked together and managed to land the ending. I really hope I'm right. Thanks for watching.